Well, good afternoon, everybody. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I, re I appreciate you attending today, and I'll certainly respect your time. I'm going to kind of take you through a couple of concepts that hopefully can help you grow your business. And I'm just going to kind of rip through this pretty quickly. And then if there's any questions at the end, certainly you can put them in the chat box or ask Kim, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you. My name is Howard Meltzer. The name of my company is Sales Tiger. It's a consulting practice I started 16 years ago. I come from a technology background, kind of your Xerox, Canon, Ricoh, office products type world. I worked for some of the major manufacturers in senior vice president positions, and then ultimately opened up a copier dealership, sold that, and started my consulting practice back in 2002. What I'm going to share with you today is a concept called TOMA, or top of mind awareness, first and foremost, before we get into the email marketing itself. So the idea of TOMA is that there's an incident that occurs in a person's life or a business life where they need a product and service that you may offer. And the question is, are they thinking of you when that incident occurs? That's what this is all about. That's what, certainly email marketing and other forms of marketing can certainly help as well. But I believe email marketing can do the very best job of helping you gain top of mind awareness so that, again, when the incident occurs in someone's life or a business life and they need the product and services you offer, they're thinking about you. TOMA refers to a brand or specific product being first in the customer's mind when thinking of a particular industry or category. I mean, if we all say, soft drinks, some of us are going to say Coke, some of us are going to say Pepsi. Obviously, they've gained top of mind awareness. Cost them an awful lot of money to do it, but they've gained top of mind awareness. And there's many examples of that that I'm sure you have in your mind. This is what it's all about. If we look at Super Bowl advertising, we all enjoy the Super Bowl. A lot of us enjoy the commercials. We wait in anticipation of seeing what people are going to come up with. And a lot of companies have spent, just gobs of money with a 1 or 2 commercial buy for the Super Bowl, expecting this tremendous results. And certainly there was an internet company that did that and expected, huge results, and it didn't happen. Because typically, even if you're sending out to the entire country or 200 million people that are watching the Super Bowl, people need to know you, trust you, and like you before they're going to do business with you. Just because they get your message once does not mean they're going to do business with you. It's all about the repetition. That's the key. The concept of TOMA, as I learned it, came from a guy by the name of Joe Girard. I read this book back years and years ago when I started selling copiers in the streets of Albany, New York, in 5 feet of snow and cold calling, and said there's got to be a better way of doing this. Girard sold cars in Detroit, Michigan, and ultimately became Guinness World Records best car salesman in the world, selling 13,000 cars in a 15-year career. And just to kind of put some light on that, that's 72 cars a month. Your average car salesman may sell 5, maybe 6, 7 cars in a given month. This guy was selling for 15 years, 72 cars per month. Just an astounding figure. And the way that he did it is he knew that there was an incident that occurred in people's lives that makes them buy a vehicle. You get into an accident, the insurance company strokes you a check, your financing arrangement runs out, your identical twin girls, as mine did a few years ago, turn 16 and say, Daddy, we want cars. Well, when that incident occurs, people were thinking about Joe Girard. And the way that he did it back in the 60s, before we had any technology, is that he, in essence, created what was known as the law of 250. Everybody knows 250 people that invite to their wedding or would attend their funeral. And he started to send a letter to those people every single month. Happy Valentine's Day, Joe Girard. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Joe Girard. I like you, Joe Girard. Merry Christmas, Joe Girard. And he said those 250 know 250 who know 250. And word kind of spread. And he kept sending these letters to more and more and more people. People would get these letters. They wouldn't even open it. They would see it was from him. They throw it away because they kind of knew what it was. He didn't care because for one split second, they were thinking about him each month. So when the incident occurred in their life where they needed a vehicle, who did they think about? Joe Girard. He became the best salesperson in the world, or Guinness World Record car salesman in the world, not because his closing rate was higher than anybody else's. It was because he had more opportunities than anybody else. And I embrace that concept and have used it throughout my career and advocated to my clients to certainly to use to grow their business. This is why TOMA, or top of mind awareness, works. This isn't me speaking. This is Chilton Marketing, probably one of the most respected marketing consulting firms in the world, based out of the Philadelphia area. And what they found is that 50% of salespeople give up after one attempt at trying to get through to a contact, 65% after two, 79% after three, 90% of us give up after 4 attempts at trying to get through to a contact. You know, I've called that guy several times. I've emailed him. I even stopped in. He won't see me, and we give up. But the reality is, it's not until you get to 5, 6, 7, 8 touches that you actually start to become a factor in the prospect's mind. They start to know who you are, even though you certainly probably haven't met with them. You probably haven't even spoken to them yet. And you get down to 9, 10, 11, 12 touches. I can't guarantee you that you're going to win the customer or a client, but I can guarantee you this, that when they're in the market for the product and services that you offer, you are going to get the chance to compete for their business. Subway, #1 franchise in America. Not personally a big fan of Subway. Don't really like their product, but you can't argue with their results. I mean, they used a $5 footlong, Apollo Ono, Ali Ali, Michael Strahan. They used to, of course, use Michael Phelps, but he can't stop smoking dope on YouTube, and hopefully Jared will spend the rest of his days in jail. But these folks know if they touch you 6, 7, 8 times in a 90-day period, they've got you. You know, where do you want to go to lunch today? I don't know. Let's get a $5 footlong. People eat lunch every day. They don't necessarily buy your product or your service on a daily basis. Could be monthly, quarterly, annually, every few years, whatever the case might be. Again, what you want to do is make sure that when that incident occurs in their life, they're thinking about you, your company, and that you get a chance to compete for that business. It's that simple. What Chilton also found is that 15% of people will buy within the first 3 months of knowing who you are, 85% after 4 months, and it breaks down accordingly. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I do a lot of business with people in the forklift industry, in the office products industry, in the janitorial supply business, business brokers like Kim. I can't, I tell my clients, you can give away free forklifts. You can give away free copy machines, free janitorial supplies. If people don't want them or people don't need them, they aren't going to take them. The incident has to occur in their life where they have a need, a desire, a want for your product. And when that happens, that they're thinking about you, because people do business with people they know, trust, and like. But the amazing thing is most of us quit in this first 3-month period. I hear it all the time from business owners. Well, what are you doing today in terms of marketing? Well, I tried SEO and Google AdWords and radio and print and TV and this and that, and none of them work. Well, how long did you try them for? 90 days. Nothing's going to work in 90 days. There is no magic bullet. If you want good coffee, you have to brew it. Instant coffee doesn't taste very good. Again, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Ultimately, at the end of the day, bottom line is your sales volume comes down to 2 factors. It's the number and the quality of the opportunities you're involved in times your win rate. Again, using the forklift industry, I can take a rookie rep and have them outperform a veteran rep, even though that rookie rep may only close at a 30% rate and the veteran may close at an 80 or 90% rate. That rookie can outperform that veteran because I'll create more and better quality opportunities for that rep. And thus increase sales volume significantly. That's what it's all about. We want to make sure we increase the number of opportunities and the quality of those opportunities, because I'm sure you're all very good at what you do, and given the opportunity to get in front of a prospective client or customer, you probably win more often than not. What you want to do is increase the number of opportunities, both quantity and quality. The other thing you want to look at is how to differentiate yourself. People oftentimes ask me, what's the very best sales book you've ever read? Well, the best sales book I've ever read is called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing by Al Ries and Jack Trout. And if you haven't read it, I would urge you all to read it. You can get it on Amazon for, I don't know, $8 or $9. It's a great read. But what this book talks about is, the laws you must follow in terms of marketing. One of the things that's interesting is that marketing and sales have almost separated themselves. Most companies have a marketing department and a sales department, and they don't really get along very well. Sales thinks that marketing does a terrible job of promoting the product, bringing product to market, listening to the customer, so on and so forth. And of course, marketing looks at the salespeople and thinks they're all lazy. They won't go out and make the calls. They won't follow up. They won't do this. They won't do that. The reality is successful companies, sales and marketing go hand in hand in glove. They fit together. But one of probably the most important, two really important laws in the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, one is differentiating yourself. If I ask you all who's the first person to cross the Atlantic solo in an airplane, most of all of you would know Charles Lindbergh. If I asked you who the second was, you probably have no idea. He did it better. He did it faster, but nobody knows who poor Bert Hinkler is. That's the reality. Now, you didn't know Bert Hinkler is the second. You probably don't know the third, but you do. The third person to have done it is Amelia Earhart, but she's not known as the third person to have ever done it. She's known as the first woman to have ever done it. If you can't be first, what you want to do is create your own category. Tom Monahan went broke selling frozen pizzas in Detroit, Michigan. Being the rocket scientist that he is, he took basically some cardboard, put some cheese and sauce on it, and said, I'm going to deliver this in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. He didn't set out to make the best pizza in the world, because God knows Domino's pizza, unless you're stone drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning and in college, doesn't taste very good. He set out to make the best pizza delivery company in America, and there are 1 million Domino's pizzas eaten every single day in the United States. It's astounding, absolutely astounding. The other thing is, if you're first, you're perceived to be the best. So if I ask you all, what's the best college in America, most people would say Harvard University. It also happens to be the first. If I asked you the second college to be established in America, well, it's about as well known as Bert Hinkler, and it's William and Mary College. If you're first, you're perceived to be the best oftentimes. IBM, as far as computers, they're perceived to be the best. Xerox and copiers are perceived to be the best. And if you are first and you can maintain that position long enough, you become generic. Kleenex, super glue, Scotch tape, Q-tip, on and on and on the list goes. But if you can't be first, and I would imagine most of you probably are not first in your category, what you want to do is figure out a way to differentiate yourself from your competition, and then use top of mind awareness and email marketing as a means of getting that story told. That's what it's all about. So let's talk about email marketing. That's what mainly attracted you to this webinar today. Email marketing is targeted. That's the beauty of it. Sure, you can spend a lot of money and do a lot of TV and radio and billboard and the likes of it, but the reality is you're paying to get the message out to the masses, even though you may only be interested in getting that message to a very small audience. Email marketing allows you to do targeted prospecting. You have the ability to control exactly who sees and who doesn't see the information. And there's all kinds of demographics you can use, be it location, be it vertical market, be it size of business. In consumers, it could be an area that's near your operation, your business. It could be income, it could be age. Email marketing allows you that ability to target in, and without having to pay for the mass to get it to the masses, target in and only pay to get it to the people you absolutely want to get it to. It's one of the huge advantages. Obviously, email marketing is going to increase brand awareness. With every email that you send, and people are looking at it, they're going to start to know who you are. Plays right into the top of mind awareness concept. You can tell a story through email marketing. Through a series of emails, you can get people engaged and keep them engaged and tell a story and tell your story and keep giving them information, valuable information, so that again, it helps you gain that top of mind awareness. Shareable. I mean, the beauty of email marketing is that if someone likes what they see, they can forward it to somebody, and that can be tracked. You can follow that if someone has sent an email or information to somebody else, you can know that. You can get that information. And this happens a lot. So it's, it's shareable versus someone sees a TV commercial and the next day, maybe they mention it to a person or two, that it was cute or funny or whatever the case might be. But the reality is email marketing from a shareability standpoint is far greater in terms of effectiveness, because someone's going to send it directly to someone they believe needs that product or needs that service. Measurable. Analytics are indispensable when it comes to email marketing. We can look and see who opens, who clicks, who unsubscribes. If they click on a certain link and they're interested in a certain product or service, we can see all that. So then you can start to gain insight as to the customer's behavior, potential customers' behavior, and their interest, what they're interested in. And then once you discover that, then you can again put them on a track, and make sure they're only getting information as it pertains to that product and service. In Kim's world, as a business broker, sometimes we're sending out campaigns and we can identify them as a buyer as opposed to a seller. Well, that's great. If they're looking to acquire a business, we will send them information that pertains to Kim's ability to help them find an acquisition or whatever the case might be. If they're purely a business owner is interested in selling, obviously we're only going to send them information as it pertains to the selling of their business. So again, it allows you to measure everything and then make sure you're getting the right information to the right prospects. Email marketing is cost effective. Bottom line, folks, I have nothing against any form of advertising or marketing. Any touch in my mind is a good touch. But the beauty of email marketing is, there's no print costs, there's no postage fees, there's no advertising rates. You can take SEO, Google AdWords, every form of social media, all the traditional forms of advertising, print, radio, billboard, and add them all up, add all of those together, and their ROI doesn't even come close. Not in the same zip code, not in the same county, not in the same state as the return on investment as it pertains to email marketing. $44 for every dollar spent. It's that simple. There is no better way in terms of gaining top of mind awareness and growing your business and getting your message out than email marketing. So the question you really got to ask yourself today, email marketing is a must. You have to be doing it. You have to be doing it. So the question you need to ask is, are you going to do it? Or are you going to pay a service like Sales Tiger, my company, to do it for you? And those are really your two options, because you really need to be doing email marketing. So, the key to email marketing is to get them engaged and keep them engaged. As I mentioned before with forklift, using that example, you can give away free products and service. If they don't want it, they don't need it, they won't take it. There's an old saying, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So the idea is to get them engaged and keep them engaged. It doesn't help to pound on people and send them an email every other day, because if they unsubscribe, and you have to follow canned spam laws, if they unsubscribe, then you no longer can email market to them. So you want to respect people. You want to send them information that's predicated. What we like to do is use humor, goodwill, and education as a means of making the touches. One of the things that makes our program so effective for our clients is that our opt-out rate is 0.3% It's minute. People do not unsubscribe. And that's key, because I don't know when the incident may occur in their life or their business life, where they need the product and service that our clients sell. What I want to do is get them engaged and keep them engaged, so that when that incident occurs, they think about our client, and our client gets an opportunity to compete for that business. So if you want to do it yourself, here's some step-bys. First thing you do is get a list. That's usually the biggest hurdle that most people have. And certainly if you can get a list of people that are opting in, without question, that is the very best way to build a list. And there's a number of different ways to do that. Obviously, you can put a form on your website and get people to subscribe. There's all different ways of doing that. But if you can get them to opt in, then you know they're definitely interested in your product and service and they want to hear more about it. And obviously, because they're allowing you to send them these emails, they're not going to opt out. And you're going to get them engaged. You're going to gain that top of mind awareness so that when the incident occurs, you are going to get that opportunity to compete. The other way of doing it is to buy a list. But I can tell you in buying a list, it's tricky. Dirty lists don't deliver. Typically, if you buy a list from a company, I can tell you well over 30% of the emails are going to be invalid. And what happens is when you then start to use an email marketing service, be it a MailChimp, Constant Contact, and there's many of them out there, I'm going to show you on the next slide, what's going to happen is they're going to see a very high bounce rate, what's called a hard bounce, where the email bounces, a bad email address. And you're also going to get a lot of unsubscribes, and you're going to get flagged as a spammer. And when that happens, it can affect and get you blacklisted as far as your URL is concerned. But in most cases, what's going to happen is you're going to get kicked out from the email platform that you're using. We get calls every day from people from MailChimp and Constant Contact and all kinds of those services that say, hey, look, I got kicked out. I bought this list. They won't let me send to it. Can you help me? If you are going to buy a list, what you need to do is then use a verification system. And these are some examples of some verification companies where you can take the list, put it through their service, and there's a cost associated with it. And they're going to tell you whether it's a valid email, it's an abuse email, it's a spam trap, it's invalid, unknown, it's a catch-all. They're going to give you the information. What you want to do is use these verification services and make sure you're only sending to those valid emails. The other side of it is once you do that and only send the valids, that'll keep you safe as far as bounces and all of that, and spam traps and abuse emails that have been set up to catch people who are spamming. But what you want to do is then pick a service where you can send and know that if you get a very high unsubscribe rate, there is a likelihood they may kick you out. So, what some people do, I'm not advocating this, but what some people do is they'll go to a Constant Contact, take a list that they verified, they'll send to it, and then if the unsubscribe rate is too high, they get kicked out. Well, because they sent to it and got rid of most of the unsubscribes, they then can take that list and go to another service, be it a MailChimp or something else, and you're good to go because most of the unsubscribes are now gone. Again, it's some work involved, but it can be done. It can be done. Step two is to pick a service, and there are a lot of them out there. You can see some of the more traditionals that people know, your Constant Contacts, your MailChimps, and the likes that you may have heard of. And then there's many out there that you probably have not heard of. Some of these are used for huge sendings. So when you look at some of your retailers, your Dick's Sporting Goods and your BMWs and Mercedes and the likes, they are using things like Mailgun and Amazon Web Services and things like that because they are sending out literally millions upon millions of emails, and they want them all to go out in what's called a burst. So they're sent, literally instantaneously. Some of these services, depending on what you're trying to accomplish with email, are a good fit for doing what I'll call instant response, where you're trying to get an instant response to some type of offer or maybe a new product offering, and others are better suited to more of a drip or TOMA or a drip concept where you're going to drip on people on an ongoing basis. But even if you are trying to do an instant response campaign, keep in mind, you can't send one campaign and expect good results. I'm not a big fan of instant response, but if you are going to do instant response, minimally what you need to do is 6 emails stretched across a 90-day period. Once every 2 weeks, within that 90-day period, sending to quite a few people, that typically will get you far better results. More expensive, but far better results than just trying to send once. The third is the content, what goes into your email. And for this, basically, I recommend using what most of you probably know is AIDA, AIDA. So, and if you saw Glenn Ross, you've heard this talked about. But first and foremost, in the selling cycle, we got to get people's attention. So the beauty of email marketing is we can do that. In terms of the from name, a subject line, a pre-header, those type of things can get people's attention. But I want to warn you on subject lines, you got to be careful. What you don't want to do is trick somebody into opening an email. I can get my clients 70 and 80% open rates if I put in the subject line, Joe, comma, one more thing, as if we were having an ongoing conversation, and they open it. Well, if you trick them into opening it, A, the likelihood is they're going to unsubscribe. But secondly, they're never going to do business with you. Why would you do business with somebody who's tricked you? You're not going to trust them, and therefore you won't do business with them. So there is a magic to these subject lines, what you can and can't use and what you should use to get people's attention and get their interest. The other side of it is the way that you construct your email. What we try to do is use an image with a tagline that gets people's attention. Again, using humor, goodwill, and education. And I'm going to show you a couple of samples of attention getters in a moment. You got to raise their interest by focusing on and demonstrating the advantage and benefits of your product and service. We can do this through, again, pre-header text, headings, titles, images, bullet points, videos, downloads, a number of different ways to get them interested. Then we need D. We need to create that desire. So by offering them a product, a coupon offering perhaps where they can click, a gift certificate, educational information via a video, what we want to do is create that desire. And lastly, we need a call to action. Every email that goes out should have a call to action, be it a link, a button. Again, I'm going to show you a couple of samples in a moment. So those are the three, those are really the three things we got to do, or four things we got to do, is get attention, get them interested, create that desire and that action. You can try to do it one email. It's tough to do. That's why dripping and keep getting their attention and getting them interested and telling your story will create that desire and create the reason for them to take the action to take advantage and buy your product and service. So examples of attention getting an interest. This is a tagline and an image, a little edgy. This is some images that we've put together for a Jansan company that we do business with. There's 122 members, independent distributors of janitorial equipment and supplies across the country. We know the average buyer of these products and services is somewhere between the 40 and 60 years old, and they're typically male. So we're going to get a little edgy with their prospecting. And some, by the way, some members choose not to use the edgier, we're far more conservative, and that's fine. With us, our service, nothing ever goes out without prior approval of our client. Again, this is regarding spot cleaning. This is in regards to new industrial vacuum cleaners. This is about customer service. Hopefully, because I can't hear any of you, hopefully somebody out there is giggling a little bit. That's the whole idea. Get them engaged, keep them engaged, get them interested, get their attention and get them interested so they'll ultimately scroll down, read the benefits that your product and service offers, and then ultimately a call to action. Well, that call to action be, click here to learn more, going to your website, downloading a brochure, getting a quote, watching a video. There's numerous calls to action that you certainly can use. I'll take any questions you have. Anyone that has attended today, I'm more than willing, offering a free 30-minute consultation if you'd like to speak to me about how to potentially get your own email program set up within your organization, or if you have one, how you might be able to better improve it. I'm, with no problem, love to talk to you. If you're interested in us potentially providing that service, we certainly could talk about that as well. But there's my contact information. Feel free to email me. Feel free to call me. This is my cell phone number. Would love an opportunity to speak with you. And again, if you're interested in trying to put this program together yourself, I'd be more than happy to recommend some of the providers that I showed during this presentation. If you're interested in the PowerPoint presentation, I'd be happy to send that to you as well. I'm not sure if there's any questions. I don't know, Kim, I don't know if you can call me perhaps on my cell phone. If there's any questions that anybody has, I'd be happy to try to answer those. If you could relay the questions to me via my cell phone. Not sure if there are any questions or not. Oh, no questions. Okay. Kim said no questions. No problem. Again, if you're interested in having a conversation, feel free to email me. Feel free to call me. I'd be happy to help you in any way possible. Thank you so much for your time today. I certainly appreciate it. Hopefully you got something out of today's presentation. Thank you.